Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us here on this fantastic episode of the best show on the internet. This is the RR Show. I'm Andy, and today I am asking one very important question. Am I the asshole? Of course, be sure to let me know in the comments or on our Discord what your thoughts for each story are. But without further ado, here is our first contestant, Paris AITA. Am I the asshole for not giving my late husband's belongings to my in-laws? I, female 33, lost my husband very unexpectedly 7 years ago. We knew each other from a very young age and married when we graduated college. I have known his family for almost my entire life, and they are the closest I have to actual family. My own family situation has always been difficult. I became very close with his parents in particular. I'll still call them in-laws in this post. And we supported each other heavily through the grief process. We didn't have children before he passed, but we were trying. I still miss my husband every day. I began slowly dating 4 years ago. Mostly casual dates and nothing serious. In-laws were broadly supportive. I told them I was ready to date and they said okay, but didn't want to know the details. I only ever spoke about my dating life vaguely and very infrequently to them. Around the same time, I got a big promotion and began to spend a couple of months a year in Paris for work, pandemic permitting. Then 1 year ago, I met Armand, male, 38, and started my first serious relationship since being widowed. Given Armand lives in Paris, our relationship is based there, and while we have traveled quite a lot together, we haven't been to the US together yet. He hasn't met my in-laws, but I have told them I'm dating someone. Around Christmas, we found out I was pregnant. This was a total surprise as we weren't trying. We've since decided that I'll move to France permanently instead of splitting our time between the US and France, so that we can raise a family together. It isn't really possible for Armand to move to the US. He works in the art industry and his studio and backers are all European-based. I told my in-laws, and they were deeply upset. They said I was depriving them of their only opportunity to have a grandchild. My husband was an only child. They then accused me of moving on too quickly and not loving my husband. In the end, we had a huge argument and they've demanded that I leave all my husband's belongings from my apartment, his clothes, personal effects, etc. to them when I move to Paris. They also demanded my engagement ring, which is a family heirloom. They said they should have these because, while I have moved on, he will never stop being their son. I said no, these things are all treasured memories for my life with him that I never want to forget. They have threatened legal action to recover the ring in particular. I'm not sure they have a proper legal right, but I can see the hurt I'm causing them with my choices, and maybe giving them what they ask for, they'll be able to have closure. Am I the asshole for continuing to refuse? Edit 1. In response to comments, after the funeral, I already gave many of my husband's possessions to my in-laws. What I kept were some clothes that reminded me of happy times, things with his handwriting on them, memories from trips, etc. I want to keep these. It's not like I will be lugging a huge amount of things to Paris. I don't think it's unreasonable that I keep these. They're memories we made, not with his parents. The ring is a little bit trickier, but it is the biggest reminder to me of the relationship we once had. It really breaks my heart to give it away. Edit 2. Wow, I really didn't expect to wake up and see so many comments. Thank you so much to everyone who shared their thoughts. A few clarification points in response to messages I've received, both posts below and DMs. A poster below pointed out it's worth clarifying that I don't have a separate wedding band. We couldn't find one we liked and which matched the ring, so my engagement ring is also my wedding band, which my husband put on my finger in the church. I really don't want to lose the relationship with my in-laws. They've always been so kind to me before this happened. For example, I've been spending every major holiday like Christmas etc. with them for the past decade, but neither do I want to bend to their unreasonable behavior. Moving to France and going completely silent isn't an option. I do want to repair the relationship in the long term. Ultimately, I'd love them to visit us. The argument happened over the phone as I've been in Paris since we found out about the pregnancy and I didn't want to delay telling them the news. I'm due to fly back for a month or so to get my affairs in order soon. I intended to meet them in person then, if they agree. A few posters were concerned about what Armand thinks, which is very kind of them. Armand and I have a strong relationship and he has known about my husband since the beginning. He respects that I want to keep a piece of the marriage with me and has encouraged me to bring anything I want over to help with the transition. We're also not engaged, nor do I expect to be in the immediate future, and I'm in no rush on that front. We're comfortable as we are. Finally, there were some concerns over if I use the ring. I do wear the ring frequently as it's the only ring I wear with any regularity. Someone also suggested that I might need to sell the ring in the future for the benefit of my new family. Without going into detail, both Armand and I earn more than enough for this to never be a necessity or an option. Our next asshole contender is Professional Round 444 with his story, or her story, I don't know yet. Am I the asshole for telling my neighbor to suck it up and deal with the noise after I tried being courteous to them and their baby? I'm 16, female, and I live in an apartment with my parents. It's a nice place, but there's so many problems. One of them being the walls are practically paper thin, so I've dealt with some pretty loud neighbors. Back in November, we had new neighbors move in the larger apartment next door, a couple with their few months old baby. Now, I've tried to be as courteous as possible by making as little noise as possible in case the kid is napping. At night, I turn the TV down to a reasonable volume, sing during my afternoon walks, no arguing loudly, etc. But lately, I feel like the neighbors are trying to take advantage of our consideration. About a week ago, my mum was making dinner and she was frying it in the pans, and our neighbor came knocking on our door and told her to keep the noise down. She told them she was in the middle of cooking dinner and she would be done soon, but the neighbor just said, "Well, it better be soon." The second occurrence happened when they came knocking on our door because, according to them, I was shouting, when really I was responding to my teacher's questions. I'm homeschooled. They bitched about it and threatened to report us to office or security. Yesterday was when shit hit the fan. The night before, my mum asked me if I could vacuum while she was away at work, and I told her I would handle it. I started the vacuum around my lunch break in case there were other neighbors sleeping late, and not even a minute in, I heard the baby start crying. I then heard loud banging on my front door, and when I looked through the peephole, it was the mother, looking beet red. I opened the door, asked her if she needed anything. She said, "You need to turn the volume down on that machine of yours." Well, it's a vacuum. It doesn't have a volume button. I tried to explain that to her, but she continued shouting, "My husband and I have been nothing but nice to you and your family, and all you do is be so loud." I lost it. I said, "We're the ones who have been nice to you, but the moment we go on about our daily lives, you start complaining. You can't expect the whole world to go quiet because you have a kid, so suck it up and deal with the noise." I shut the door and went back to cleaning. Later on, a few other neighbors stopped by and said they heard what happened and that I was being rude and bitchy. But when I told my parents, they both said they were on my side and that I was just doing my chores. I don't know, part of me feels guilty and I'm scared that next time they're going to potentially get us kicked out for multiple noise complaints or something. So, am I the arsehole? Our third contestant today is from Don't Be Shy 007, AITA, for asking my girlfriend and her sister to cover up. I'm 26 male and have decided to work on my flexibility and mobility due to my injuries from playing soccer in high school and college. My girlfriend of 2 years recommended I try yoga. She does yoga 3 times a week and is incredibly flexible and agile. She told me she would talk to her sister as she's a personal trainer. I agreed. My girlfriend, myself, and her younger sister as the teacher have been doing yoga twice a week at my house for the last 3 weeks. I feel fantastic and really feel that it has been helping me. Yesterday, my mother called me asking if I was still going to give her the freezer I no longer use. I said yes and told her to come get it, or I would take it to her next day. The freezer's in my garage where we do yoga. I usually do it shirtless, and my girlfriend and her sister are in sports bra and sweats. In the middle of our yoga session, I get a notification that someone was at my front door. It was my mum and dad. I headed to the door while putting on a shirt, but I asked my girlfriend and her sister to put on a top also. My girlfriend gave me daggers for eyes, and her sister gave me a confused, "Who the hell are you?" look. I said please because my parents were coming in. I let my parents in, and when I came back, they still are in their sports bras. My parents greet them and leave shortly after. My girlfriend's sister ends up leaving before we finished the session and told me that I'm no longer her client because she's the teacher and she felt I disrespected her. I was confused and asked my girlfriend what she meant. She said, "Dude, she has big boobs. She gets shitted on like that all the time. You need to apologize, like now. I'll let it go, but you're a dick." I told her I'll clear things up with her sister, but I will not apologize because I didn't mean it in that way. My girlfriend doesn't believe me and thinks I was trying to police her and her sister. I did start to think about it, and her sister is a good person, and I'm thinking I did overstep boundaries, but I don't really feel like I did. Well guys, thank you so much for joining us here today. I would love to know what you think. So leave a comment while you leave a review for this podcast. That will also be much appreciated. Or jump on our Discord and let me know which one of these three guys should win this week's Arsehole of the Week award. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, peace out, take care.